assez mild. Ouf.
All right, what is going on, guys? I am Sable. I'm joined here by Cop. Does not have a camera, so we get a lovely picture of him here up on the screen to be with you guys during the cast. We're here for Raptors versus Brambleback, 8 p.m. here in the Rekt League. Been a long day for everybody, but we're hyped and we're ready to go. How are you feeling, Cop?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm so excited to see this series. Maybe Raptors might finally get their first win of the season today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We have a chat message here from you in the lobby saying you had chicken tenders earlier in honor of Team Raptors, so I'm sure they really appreciate that one.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so initial thoughts. We're in the lobby here, getting into Champ Select soon. But initial thoughts for you. How do you think these two teams stack up into each other, and what are you expecting to see as far as pick ban here? Dude, I'm gonna keep the buttons down. We can't let Brian the Broker monopolize all the sexual energy here on the Rekt League, so we got to keep it. Balanced economy here. But yeah, Cup.
So right now I'm looking at the roster, and I feel like Charismatic is going to be a huge point of focus for Raptors against Nolark. Charismatic is leading the team in kills. However, Raptors as a whole average about 5 deaths each, which is kind of concerning at the current moment. So hopefully they can play a little safer this game and choose their fights a little more wisely. In regards to Brambleback, the bot lane of Darkhead and Paco have been doing a fantastic job of being able to get their leads early and being able to monopolize or capitalize upon that. I'm very curious to see if Raptors are going to let Pickle Popper have a zillion or not. Although there will probably be a contested pick between the both sides with the Malzahar, since both Neat and Pickle play it.
Yeah.
Right now, with 2 weeks of practice, I'm not sure exactly what either team are exactly going to pick. I know there's a few comforts, of course, but it's they could be completely different teams after these 2 weeks.
I agree, and like you touched on with the Raptors, they have had a pretty unfortunate start. Initial state of the league power rankings, I actually had them ranked pretty high. I think they're actually a very good team, and they have a lot of really good players in their team. Um, Caitlyn Band, no surprise there against Darth Ted, but yeah, I think Raptors can bounce back, kind of have a mid-season spike maybe, and I think really they do have a lot of potential.
I From the games I've seen of Raptors, my biggest concerns would be that needs to be able to more commit to his rotations. Sometimes I'll see him meandering between mid and top lane or mid and bot lane,
Hmm.
and then nothing really comes about him. He just loses out and experience the CS.
Yeah,
Um, whereas, so I think that could be able to allow more of a numbers advantage if he does hard commit to either a gank or just even like preventing himself from potentially being flame horizoned in CS
mm,
in certain matchups. To be fair, he's had a pretty difficult schedule when it comes to mid
yeah,
laners.
yeah. He's
So
had a tough couple of matchups there in the mid lane, but that definitely is something that I personally touched on for Mr. Neat. I believe in State of the League that he needs to make sure that he's not just stopping CS after like 15 20 minutes, because you see like a large drop in the amount of CS per minute for Mr. Neat after like around the 20-minute mark, because he just kind of walks around, tries to help the team out, which is fine. But we see Charismatic on the Shen. Very surprising. That is almost as close to a one trick as you can get if you're solely going off of OPGG, and Brambleback lets it through. So they must have something in mind here. Maybe the Mordekaiser.
they're probably hoping for Charismatic to use his ultimate often, so that way Nolar can be able to maintain it while trying to maybe pick champions that can play rather safe against potential Shen'el.
Yeah, if we know anything about the Rekt League, we know that people very often forget about the global abilities. With a champion like Shen, it makes you have to think so much more about the trades you're taking and the all-in potential of your champions. You chunk someone out and you try to maybe go for a dive. They have a Shen ultimate coming in on top, and that's something that you have to be so careful in the way you play the game, especially with an aggro bot lane like Darth Ted and Colonel Paco. If they go a little too ham in some of these early plays to the bot lane, which honestly this bot lane matchup is super exciting, and we're going to talk about that more in a second, but we see double global now picked up for the side of Raptors, and that just adds more fuel to that point of Brambleback really having to respect these globals, and I hope they don't get bamboozled by a Shen ultimate or two, catching them unawares.
The best way to deal with a composition like this, if you're Brambleback, is picking champions or playing around mid lane or top lane rather than bot lane, because both of the globals can be able to impact bot lane, but it's not you can't really you're not really using the Shen'el to gank your own lane. It's not
Yeah,
very
and in fact, you
really
cannot do that. So that's a nice, a nice thing that you can't just teleport to yourself, give yourself a big shield. But we see some bot lane focus here now from Brambleback in the draft, taking away the misfortune, and Raptors answer with a Malzahar ban, which is interesting because we know Pickle Popper plays that one, but that's not really a bad matchup for the Galio. I guess they just don't want to play against the Malzahar in general.
They may be worried that like a Malzahar ult may delay the ability of Galio being able to roam an ult to the bot lane. But
Yeah, that's fair too. And Malzahar as a champion, just in general, is so good into champions like Diana who have to dive in and get their abilities off. So a nice takeaway. Taking away the Kaisa as well. Don't want to have that really strong late game scaling backline diving 80 carry, which is so good at dodging these globals. So it's a really intelligent ban from Raptors, knowing they have a global kind of wombo comp right now. They don't want Kaisa to just be able to get around it and behind with a big shield. And Brambleback's going to look to answer with the Varus pick, which already we see a pretty good front line, and that's what Varus wants.
it's interesting. The Wukong and Ornn earlier, like I always believe that when you choose a flex pick, it's usually a sign of sort of baiting something out. But because they picked the Ornn pretty much
Ooh.
right after, they're like not really hiding the flexibility of the Wukong. I've never seen Nolark play Wukong, but I imagine someone like Pickle Popper could probably pick it up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, could even be into the jungle there too, Cop. The Ornn and the Wukong, both viable jungle champions. Not so much the Nautilus. So there's a lot of flexibility, and it looks like we will be seeing the Wukong most likely going into the jungle. The Ornn's jungle clear is actually very strong. So this actually, I see an Aurelia mid in chat. This is an Aurelia support. This is a fasting Senna with a farming Irelia in the bot lane, getting Pogs on a champion that he's comfortable on and can carry on. So you basically get another solo laner with the Irelia taking the farm in the bot side. Not really a super strong composition to play Irelia into. That's a pretty beefy comp, and you have the Zillion revive as well. So Aurelia is really going to be trying to dive in, possibly with the Shen ultimate on top of her Galio follow up. The Diana can follow with the dive as well. But basically Raptors is all in on this kind of dive composition, and the composition that Brambleback has drafted for themselves is pretty good into that. The disengage from Varus and Zillion and Ornn even is insane.
So something I personally like to do when I play against Senna compositions, especially when they have AD, is I like to go Bramble Vest. Aurelia has Conqueror, and Senna provides a lot of healing, so it allows you to be able to mitigate a lot of that, the heal is sustained from that, while the AD carry can potentially try to kite them while they're engaging on the, hopefully, support in that situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily certain that Nautilus, I find Nautilus to be somewhat of a squishy champion early on, and getting an item like that's not really going to. I mean, his base, he scales off of health for his shield, so I wouldn't necessarily rush it with a champion like him.
Yeah, that's very fair. You definitely want to get the HP support item on Nautilus, I believe. I forget what it's called because I am not a filthy support player.
Kindle Gem?
No, the support item that gives you health.
There's a lot of them.
Do they all do that now? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I haven't really paid a lot of attention to the support item changes very clearly.
The one that gives AP and
okay, that
HP.
one. That's exactly what I was referring to. I knew exactly what I was talking about there, 100%.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards that item a lot as a tank support player, just because surprisingly most of them do have ability power in their kits, especially Nautilus.
Yeah, no, I mean, and for tanks like Nautilus, we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but for tanks like Nautilus, their AP ratios are actually pretty high because they're champions that weren't meant to build ability power. So his ratios on like his E and his ultimate are actually fairly high. So getting some ability power in the kit can be a little surprising with the damage sometimes, even more surprising when you have him with a Senna, but don't have that this game. What we do have is high elo bot lane versus high elo bot lane. And I am so excited to see this clash of the Titans here in the bottom side. I think that's my go-to for focusing in this game and like what we can talk about as far as matchup importance.
I couldn't agree with you.
Who do you think has the edge here?
Right now, I feel like Raptors do, just because given that they have more of a global impact on the bot lane. So pretty much, I would imagine one, if not both of them, are going to try to use their ults to be able to sort of ride sort of the hype train of what their bot lane is and get a few free assists out of it to be able to get some leads from there. But they're probably looking for Alfaris and Pogs to just carry the game.
Yeah,
Shinny was probably just there for the ride.
Yeah, 100%. Not really super expecting the Diana to carry this game and pop off, but I mean, it is possible. Like I've seen personally Shinua in some games actually pop off and do pretty well on the Diana pick, so he does have the potential there.
If I'm Colonel Paco, I'm definitely looking to have a huge emphasis on warding, which both Pogs and Paco are both in the top 5 in vision control right now.
Yeah, that's true. Both looking pretty good on the vision control
Paco
numbers.
Has the advantage, but I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I'm just super excited because we have so much all-in potential from really both sides. You have the Ornn Wukong diving in with the Varus ultimate, Nautilus ultimate for engage, and then you have the Galio, Diana, and Shen, who are just always want to dive in. That's what they want to do. So we have to see who can actually get a good engage first, because I think that the side that actually engages first might be at a disadvantage, because there's so much good disengage here. And we're getting in the game.
There's going to be so much fighting in this game. It's going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm hyped, but here we are. We got the cop picture there because we didn't have the webcam set up, but that's totally fine. I love it. We'll see if these guys choose to fan out or go for any kind of spicy level 1 action. Whenever you see a Nautilus, you always kind of have that thought of, is this guy going to try to invade and hook me? But it doesn't look like that's what they're trying to do.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
So yeah, no, it does not look like any kind of form of invade right now.
Yeah, and we see great early wards from Raptors, and both pixels spot out where Brambleback's going to be. They're going to know they're not getting early aggressed on. Some good early vision tech by Raptors. We actually didn't see any wards placed by Brambleback, so they don't really have any early knowledge here of jungle pathing or anything like that. Kind of just watching their entrances, playing safe, but you can pretty much usually assume that when it's a jungler like Diana, you're going to want that red side bot lane leash from blue side.
It's interesting too that Pickle decided to opt to go Glacial Augment, so he's going to try to match as best as he can in terms of being the additional support for Bramble.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, against the melee champion, you know, like Galio, the Glacial just lets you land your bombs so easily. It's very frustrating for the Galio to actually have to deal with. And interestingly, we see Sasha starting on the red camp, so if she paths to blue Gromp, she might look for an early play onto the bot lane.
Yeah, I started recently picking up jungle, and I've been finding the Hunter's Talisman to be a really fun item to play around.
Oh, we're level 2 in mid actually with the Glacial Augment. Gets a big slow. A lot of damage comes down. Has to flash. The last auto came through from Pickle Popper just to get some more damage on the back end there, and Mr. Neat, despite Raptors' early good vision, did not expect the Wukong level 2 gank and had to burn that flash early, and that's going to feel really bad into a Glacial Augment Zillion.
Yeah. Zillion at this point needs to be able to push the lane and try to force Galio out of the lane so that way he has to burn his teleport to delay a potential ult without being
We see a taunt in the top lane. A big trade on a Nullark getting really low. Actually, a decent trade back with the Bellows Breath into the auto attack there, but Mr. Neat just eating bombs here in the mid lane. But yeah, we talked about it in Champ Select. I'm really excited to see Charismatic on the Shen. That is his signature pick and hits another max range taunt. Actually, a lot of damage. One more auto is going to do it. Gets the auto after the flash from Nullark, and Charismatic showing why you banned the Shen.
Absolutely.
Trading it right back.
What kind of build he's going to have with the Shen. There's like a few, I believe. Like
ooh, Sasha in the bot lane. A lot of damage goes down onto Alifaris. Pogs actually having to flash out, does get ignited, so that is both flashes down and the exhaust down on the Senna. So this bot lane is super repeatable for this Wukong, who still has flash.
Yeah, going back to it, Shen does have a few different builds, and I'm wondering which one exactly he's going to build.
Yeah, there are options here.
I have no idea exactly what the one-trick Shen players do these days.
Oh, he knows what he wants to do now. He's just absolutely clapping Nullark in the top lane. He's doing so much damage to him. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Shen with an early kill like this. Go for something like a Tiamat to just push the Ornn under tower. Is getting a little chunkier now. Just has to play safe. Maybe being a little greedy. I think an auto attack from Ornn actually might get the kill there if he had the brittle. Charismatic has to play extremely safe here. He just wants to leave. I don't know why he's staying. He has the teleport up. The wave's not really in the best spot, but you're not healthy enough to stay and try to bounce that wave. Ooh, nice hook by Paco in the bot lane. The stun misses on the Wukong, and he will get in and lay the damage down. Xinua's here, but what can he do? He's just getting absolutely chunked out. Double TP's now being channeled to the bot lane. Shen here. Does have a taunt. Might be able to get onto the Wukong. The root's going to go down to Nautilus. Does taunt the Wukong. One more auto will do it. Charismatic picks up the kill, and Nautilus having to flash out now. Varus stepping up a little too far. Charismatic doesn't have any follow-up damage to go down, though, and one more auto into Colonel Paco, misses the wall hook, and Charismatic with the TP gets a double kill. Aliferis should play a little safe here. I think a bomb might actually take him out.
Should, yeah.
Yeah, Shen gets the triple under tower, but Aliferis stepping up a little too far and does get taken out by Pickle Popper, so Brambleback gets something back here in the bottom lane, but Charismatic's staying and really slapping. I think you just want to, get your recall in here and head back to top, but 4-0 now in the Shen, and they're going to be kicking themselves for not banning this one.
These are the kind of bloodbaths we were talking about going into Champ Select.
There's no world where a Shen should be 4-0 at 5 minutes, but we're here now. Is down a considerable amount of farm, about 3 waves right now in the top lane. Orin did a good job pushing that into tower, denying Shen, but I don't think it's going to matter. If we take a look at the gold here, still up by almost 1,000 on the Shen, and we'll be able to get some of this farm back in the top lane, slowly making his way back up now, but that is just a massive advantage.
The important thing, too, is that Senna has 3 assists right now, so she must have certainly gotten a lot of souls from
Wukong's there. You see a fight. Wukong's ignited. Wukong actually just going to fall. Didn't have flash, and Blast going over the wall. They didn't know that Diana was waiting and wait, and now Colonel Paco has to run away. Doesn't have the flash available. Diana gets the double kill, and Shinua sitting on 2-0 now. The new player to the league on Raptors, the jungler coming in, picking Diana, and sitting on 2-0. And if you're playing Diana in the jungle, that's exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, he has 5 stacks on his Dark Seal as well.
Oh, that's so nutty that he started a Dark Seal. I didn't even realize.
He's got that total confidence in his teammates.
He just knew. He was like, I'm going to have 3 kill participation at 6 minutes and make a super value play.
I gotta give a lot of respect to that guy. With a team that's a 0-4 right now, still having that kind of confidence is so important.
Yeah, you love to see it. And so we did see Shen rush the Bambi Cinder as Pickle Popper getting taken pretty low in the mid lane. We'll get back to that in a second, but we have a Shen ultimate coming down bottom lane right now. There's so much action everywhere. Taunt's going to go through. Nautilus is level 3 and has no flash. This Nautilus is getting eviscerated in this bottom lane. It's 0-3 right now. Still level 3, no summoners. That is repeat on repeat for Raptors. They're playing, they're basically playing spot the Inter right now, and the Inter is Colonel Paco.
Yeah. The thing too is Paco is still just sitting on a cloth armor and boots.
He's so behind.
Very.
Mr. Neat looking for a little bit of an engage here in the mid lane. Not sure you really wanted that one. Didn't have anybody near you. Didn't have vision on Wukong, so wisely backs off after missing the Justice Punch. Does take some damage for his troubles, though. And going back in again. Still has no vision on the enemy jungler and is pretty low. I guess just wanting to get a trade off, but it's getting chunked out. So probably going to have to take a recall here soon is Mr. Neat. Probably going to see a little bit of a lull right now as we see Charismatic go straight on a Nullark just as I say that. And Nullark dealing a decent amount of damage back in the trade, is up that level from being up so much CS, and Irelia just absolutely looking so clean on that Irelia there for Pogs. But as I was saying, probably going to see a little bit of a lull here. I think Brambleback really wants to slow this game down. The tempo is not in their favor right now, and they have to just get their farm, sit in their waves, and just play for the late game scaling option with the Varus. You know that Darth Ted can carry on a champion like Varus. You know that you have that option in the late game with the Orange scaling, with the Wukong, actually scaling pretty well himself. Raptors just really, Brambleback really want to slow it down here.
So one thing that's really important right now, if you're Infernal, is you want to set up a teleport play potentially for Nullark, because his teleport's going to be up before Shen ult is, or any of the other teleports, and you can ensure yourself a little window of being able to have a potential teleport flank.
That's
Though
true.
They do have 4 top.
Yeah, and that's a good rotation for them. They got the Rift Herald and immediately rotated top lane, but I don't think you had to actually keep the Shen here. Shen actually going to fall to that tower, and we'll get the shot down to Zillion. I think you want Shen in the bottom lane there, but we see Mr. Neat does end up falling in the bottom lane, and I think a small misstep from Raptors, keeping the global with the team that was pushing. You want to have the Galio mid there, and you want to have the Shen in the bottom lane. Though the ultimate's not up, they probably don't know that ultimate cooldown right now for Shen, because it is pretty close. So if you have the Galio in the mid lane, can threaten with the ultimate top, and the Shen can then threaten from bottom, even just passive threat, with that cooldown being almost available. But opt to not do that, and Brambleback will answer with a tower of their own here in the bottom lane.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
So, looking at the builds at the current moment, Varus going Blade of the Ruin King Rush is a really good idea. I know a lot of people like to go like a lethality poke Varus with him, but being able to have that sustain and the 8% percentage health shred is going to be very useful against a very frontline team like the composition that currently Raptors are using.
Oh yeah. And what do you think about something like a Wit's End on Varus in this game? That's primarily the people that are going to be getting on top of him do a fair bit of magic damage. Diana, obviously, Irelia does a good amount of magic damage herself. So do we think a Wit's End here would be something Darth Ted might look towards?
Potentially. Also, perhaps Mercurial, depending on how consistent the Galio or Aurelia gets on top of him.
Yeah, he knows they're going to be looking. That is the name of the game for Raptors team comp here is dive, 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 and they've been doing it a ton this early game. Have kill score of 7-4. They're actually down about 1,000 gold now because we take that turret gold into account and some CS discrepancies in both the bottom and the top lane. Mid lane as well, actually. Brambleback's been farming pretty well, and Pogs has to be pretty careful here. I don't think he can actually take this. We have the Shen ultimate coming through, though, but Nautilus is on his way. This Ornn is going to live for a long time. The Ignite goes down. Aurelia actually stopwatched, so couldn't receive that Senna healing, and then will end up falling. The Galio is good, but Ornn is able to flash out. The taunt hits nobody, and now Pog's going to pay for his avarice, giving a kill out, and Wukong with a 3-man knockup now. Varus ultimate lands as well. Get the second tick of the knockup from Wukong. This wombo combo is so sick from Brambleback, but they didn't end up killing anybody. And Darth Ted now taunted, has a Zillion ultimate, but the bomb, it's going to take out Pickle Popper. Going to take out Diana and Charismatic as they just turn it right back around, kill Mr. Need as well. So at the end of the day, Colonel Paco does fall, but they get 3 kills for Brambleback. They turn this game right back around. And that was such a clean engage from Bramble, knowing their limits.
That was a lot of wasted resources for Raptors there to really just get the Nautilus.
Yeah.
The Shen ult and the Galio.
Yeah, they committed so hard on the Nullark on that Ornn, right? And then he was just able to flash out at the end. He lived for so long, having so many resistances right now. And speaking of resistances, they'd end up picking up a Mountain Drake, which is just going to scale that Ornn into the late game even better as Mountain scales with percentage resistance increase. That's going to feel so good on a champion like Ornn, who can also upgrade his allies' items to get them even more of a benefit out of the Mountain as well.
We have to keep in mind, though, that this is this dragon is very much Bramble's worst nightmare situation. This being able to have at least 3 air drakes potentially for Raptors could be able to reduce the ultimate cooldowns of Shen and Galio and even Senna by a fair margin, and it could really help them in team fights or having more constant team fights like they seem to lean towards.
Oh, I 100% agree. Raptors definitely a very ultimate reliant team here. And we saw them burn a lot of that bot side, and this is something that we've actually seen from Raptors throughout some of their games, is they look so sick in the early game, and they play a lot of the fights extremely well because they have some very skilled players, but they make some choices towards, getting towards the later part of the early game or into the mid game that end up just giving the enemy team advantages. And we saw that in that bot lane play with the hard commit onto the Ornn, who you're not going to kill very fast, and they burned so many resources there. And now Brambleback is actually in a lead.
Yeah, something that's interesting too. So Shen opted with runes of going the Ravenous Hunter rather than the Ultimate Hunter or whatever. I can't remember.
Ooh, Shen Ultimate Under Tower does get hooked in. Diana's here though. The heal comes through. I think Diana actually, unfortunately popped the R before actually E'ing out to Varus, so wasn't able to get anything done and has to just flash out. Oh, taken so low by that last Q by Varus, and Sasha was threatening the dive, but gonna leave knowing the rest of the team is probably collapsing. But it's a very interesting point you make about the Shen.
Yeah, the thing too is that so he's opting to go more of like a duelist sort of Shen, and then he additionally has the haunting guys likely to be built into Leandry's with the blasting one already purchased. There it is. So
That's a ridiculous Shen build. I don't think I've ever seen. The Bramble passive will give you that Landry's tick there, right? Or not the Bramble passive, the
his
Bambi Cinder.
uh,
Because that deals magic damage.
Yes, then absolutely. And then his Q scales with AP, as well as his ultimate. So he's actually going to be given more of a shield.
Yeah, I believe they scale with AP and health. So that item gives you both of those. It's going to feel pretty good on the Shen. At 4 and 2, you can probably go whatever greedy build you want to go, but this does mean that he won't have a lot of these resistances to try to be a frontline for his team in these upcoming fights. And Bramble should just look to take this mid tower here. They had the Herald charge. Oh, the Aurelia all comes through. It looks like they're maybe looking for an engage, but they burned so much that Wukong was just able to ult to get right back out and come back in with the second charge of the ult. Doing so much damage. Already Galio, Diana, and Aurelia have fallen. The Zillion ultimate was on Sasha to make sure if they ended up killing her that it wouldn't matter. And that's now 4 dead on the side of Raptors as Brambleback with a phenomenal turn with the usage of their ultimates of Ornn and Wukong. Just so clean. They predicted the engage and then just turned it right back on Raptors' heads.
You hate to see it too, because all the ultimates for, or at least for the top and jungle and mid, were all up, and they didn't use any of them. Like, that's like a huge emphasis of the team is being able to do potentially a 1-1.
Yeah, and this is something we kind of touched on in Champ Select, that whatever team engages first is probably going to be on the back foot for almost the whole fight. We saw that there with Raptors trying to force an engage, and it's so easy for Brambleback to just cast Ornn ultimate, cast Wukong ultimate, and there goes Raptors engage, and now they're left just looking in the face of this Varus and this Nautilus who haven't even used their abilities yet, and the Raptors engage is spent. So I really think that they have to just play these fights a little bit slower because they're not out of the game yet, but I really think they have to be a little more patient and wait for somebody on Brambleback to try to pull the trigger, and then they can turn with some of their global pressure, because right now just face rolling your ultimates in an enemy team isn't going to win you these team fights.
Yeah, so right now we have a little bit of a lull point going into a potential dragon fight. Although it seems like Raptors are just going to concede it right now.
Yeah, they do not want to fight right now. They're about 6,000 gold down. The Varus just completed, or sorry, rather purchased pickaxe. So on top of the board, it's going to be pretty strong. While they're only sitting on really just the Bork from Aurelia, and they have some lethality from Senna, but enemy team just at a much stronger point than them right now. And we talked about how good Cloud Souls are going to be for Raptors, but Brambleback's going to love that too.
Absolutely.
The move speed on the Cloud Soul with Wukong is going to let him get to the backline even faster. Is actually hilarious if they can manage to get that.
Even when Ornn uses his Ornn Horn, he can be able, if it's a close range fight when he uses it, he can be able to actually just like dodge some of the crowd control while it's coming towards him and be able to stick with it potentially.
Darth Ted with a bit of a greedy path there. Wasn't punished though. Mr. Neat landing that Justice Punch. Might have been a dead Darth Ted. Doesn't have the flash up. Does have the heal though, so might have been safe there, but regardless, back to farming for these guys, and I think we're going to see a good amount of farming here and just waves bouncing back and forth. I don't think Raptors is going to look to fight anytime soon after that last one.
So when does Horn exactly start getting his upgrades?
Okay, so at level 13, Ornn can upgrade his teammates' first item, and we see Aurelia going in with a big stun. The Galio's coming through as well. Just when I thought we weren't going to see any fights, they actually pick off Darth Ted, and Colonel Paco flashing back towards the tower. Not sure that's where you want to be, buddy, and gets taken out there. So that's 2 quick kills for Raptors, just picking off the bot lane.
Right there, one of the big aspects of that fight that's very important is that Galio wasn't exactly in the fight when it started. He joined in using his ultimate, so Obviously, Ornn isn't there, but in the last situation, he was Ornn was able to deny the potential usage of because
Yeah, and Charismatic's just dead here. He can't get out. He's just so obnoxious, just slowed forever. But yeah, Galio, having burned his Justice Punch and Taunt under the tower previously to that, didn't have a way to get in. So him being back in the back part of the fight, like you talked about there, allowed him to ultimate towards the Irelia, who was diving, and that looked good.
Absolutely. Something I always love to keep an eye on is whenever a player has a perfect game going for them, and right now Pickles has 0 deaths right now.
505 is insane. The 500 gold bounty, they really want to kill that Zillion, but it's going to be a tough task ahead of them. And even if they do kill him, he has his ultimate. So very frustrating champion to play against.
I love the Rod of Ages rush from him too, even though he has Glacial. Usually you see Glacial, you see Hextech plus the Spooky Ghost item. But in this case, he's got the Rod of Ages just because he's that much ahead.
Yeah, and it gives him a little bit more of that survivability, right? Just having that extra HP, because he knows they're going to be trying to dive onto him. It's going to be so frustrating to deal with. It's a real tilter.
It's great for team fights too, because then he doesn't feel like he's going to have to use his ultimate necessarily on him.
Yeah, so both teams just kind of bouncing these waves back and forth right now. I still don't think that the Raptors want to actually look for fights right now. If they can get some picks like they had on the bot side there, great. But they don't want another repeat of that mid lane tier 2 fight where they just kind of tried to all in, or tier 1 rather, under the tower. And it didn't work. So they want to wait and just relax because they do have good scaling on their side as well. The Diana, Senna, and Aurelia all scale phenomenally well. Shen and Galio will be extremely tanky.
I do have a problem with the fact that Shen and Galio aren't necessarily building the traditional tanky items per se. I mean, Shen is starting to with the Sunfire Cave, but right now it's very difficult to sort of place, like be able to disengage the fights necessarily when you don't have as many resistances as a traditional builds would.
Yeah, that Galio's squishy. I don't think really in a world where you have a damage jungle and 2 damage dealers bot lane that you really need the Hextech Protobelt in the mid lane. Haven't really seen many good uses of it out of Mr. Neat here either. Maybe some unfamiliarity with the item, but I think just honestly just accepting the fact that you're behind in lane and just getting beefy on Galio and being tanky, because that's really what you want to do, would have been a little stronger there for Mr. Neat. So maybe some strats they can work on in the future, but it looks like they're working on trying to maybe contest this Cloud Drake, which I don't know. They definitely feel like they have to, right? Because that's sole point for Brambleback, but I don't know if they actually want to look for a fight here. They do have the Shen ultimate, and Brambleback wisely respecting some of the engage potential here. Diana doesn't have stopwatch. I think he would have been better served purchasing the stopwatch here for Diana over the Fiendish Codex. If you're looking to fight on this Cloud Drake, it looks like they might just concede it, which would be the correct play. It's already falling, don't walk in. Okay, they're disengaged. I thought they were going to look to engage after they already had the Drake. Mr. D was baiting me there with his body, his big Galio body, just getting ready. But doesn't end up going in, and they wisely give that one over.
So right now, one other important thing to highlight is with the support items being completed for Paco, it still hasn't done for the Senna. Oh, now it just has.
Just got it. Just getting debated. She knew you were burning it up. She's like, by the way, I got it.
Yeah, the images look very similar to each other for that.
Yeah. So they pop double sweeper and run the exact same direction. So they really wanted to clear that zombie ward out efficiently there. Or it might have been a blue trinket actually. But we see them setting up on the Baron here. Aurelia maybe looking to engage. Does go in. Gets a 2-man stun. Shen's there. But that's the global that's with the team. And the Galio ultimate comes through on the side but gets canceled as Wukong has to leave. Darth Ted Picks up the kill on Aurelia, but now in the backline, just free firing. This Varus is untouched. The Shen ultimate comes through, but it's too little too late, as they will pick up 4 kills for Brambleback. The Wukong just massive, chasing down the Shen now, who does have flash, should be able to get out. But Darth Ted with a great flash over the red buff wall there, and just free firing in the back of the pit, is putting out a ridiculous amount of damage, while the rest of the team put down the CC and allowed him to get that off. And that should be Baron for Brambleback.
Galio doing the exact thing that I said he shouldn't be doing, which is being near the team when the engage happens. Getting his ultimate behind him.
Yeah, Galio and Shen were there.
The crowd control wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a Baron for Brambleback, and I mean, on the back of a composition like you have for Raptors with the global ultimates, you have to ask the question: why are Shen and Galio both in the red side jungle there? Their lane was getting pushed in bot side. Shen can easily push that one, and he has teleport and his ultimate. There's no reason for the Shen to actually be there. So, from Raptors here, if you're gonna pick a global composition, and you're gonna want to play around these surprise kind of like members joining the fight, like the Shen, like the Galio, you have to make sure that you're not just grouping the globals together in that kind of tight corridor, which is exactly where Brambleback want you to be with the Wukong and the Varus and the Ornn.
It's gotta be tough to watch Raptors make those mistakes if you're a Raptors fan right now. Though I could see them being able to get themselves back into it, but it's gonna take mostly capitalizing on misplays and catching them out mostly in the side if possible.
Yeah, they're certainly not out of the game. We see 2 items completed now in the Shen, Diana having the jungle item, the Nashor's Tooth. Unfortunately, the mid lane still working on that second item. Same with the Aurelia, hasn't been able to complete a second item here. And the Varus having 2.5 items, the halves being the QSS and the stopwatch, with the upgraded Ornn Blade of the Ruined Cane, I believe is called Might of the Ruined Cane now, and the Ginsus. There's just such an item disparity for Raptors right now that it's going to be so hard, even if they get the perfect engage and the perfect team fight. At this point, Brambleback's just going to be slapping them with their wallets. And we see the Varus going in with the slap, gets the ultimate down. Mr. Neat, not long for this world. Aurelia ultimate lands onto 3, but they have no follow-up, and they just be able to take this tower down, and the inhibitor surely to follow, as Brambleback look to take this first game here against Raptors. Probably won't look to end now. They do have the Baron buff, and they still have the Wukong ultimate available and the flash, but might just play the safe and go for all the inhibitors. They have the Wukong going in. Big Diana ultimate, but it doesn't matter. So much damage coming out from Brambleback and just smacking them with all their extra money that they had. It's so farmed, and the item completions are just so far ahead of Raptors at this point of the game, as Senna has to flash back into the fountain, and that's really where she's going to stay right now. Just really have to probably watch Brambleback take the Nexus towers and take the Nexus here. Still 2 dead for 20-odd seconds for Raptors. Not really a world where this is super defensible by the Aurelia with just the 1 item completion. Does almost end up taking Darth Ted down, but there's that Zillion ultimate, and the Nexus is sure to follow.
Game 1 goes to Brambleback.
Yeah, Brambleback, phenomenal play in that game. They just knew exactly what they needed to do. And honestly, not surprised, knowing the team as strong as Brambleback. Even if they fall behind in the early game there, Cop, they know exactly what they need to do to get back into the game. And they played it phenomenally. They really just waited for Raptors to hard commit on engages, and they pressed their buttons. They pushed their buttons, Cop.
Gotta give shout out to Pickle Popper with the perfect game. 7-0 and 12.
Hold on, Eric's telling me I had the wrong week number. Is there a week number on the in-game? Oh, there is. I changed the one. I changed the week number for the timer screen, but I forgot that I also had a week number for the other screen as well in game. So don't be deceived, guys. It is not week 1. We are not watching a VOD. It's week 3, and thank you to the lovely production assistant, Darth Ted, for pointing that out to me. So we'll have the right week here coming up for you guys in game number 2. And we'll get the lobby set up right now. So, Mike, talk me through it. What can Raptors do to bounce back from that? Because that's got to be a tilting loss. You get the Shen pick for your one trick in the top lane, and then he gets super fed early, but you can't convert. What did they have to do differently?
I think they should give up on the global comp right now. Like, it was great. It was great in theory, but the problem is that the execution was pretty sloppy from both mid and top lane in some instances. But I think that you need to capitalize more on Charismatic's ability to dominate against Nolark potentially. Even though Nolark did go 1-1-13, Charismatic was winning in the during the laning phase by a pretty large margin, certainly through CS initially. And being able to capitalize on that lead will be able to improve the chances of being able to go into mid lane, not in as much of a deficit as they were.
Right.
Neat on Galio, I'm not a very big fan of, as I was preaching the whole time. It's just he needs to have an improvement in his positioning to be able to make it as effective as it can be. So I would like to see him on more of a control mage that he tends to gravitate towards otherwise, to be able to actually play towards his general position that he has.
Yeah. Is there any adjustments you can make to your volume, Cop? Some people in chat are saying you're a little low. I'm not sure if that's just your lovely voice, or if that's something that, because I can't turn your volume up in Zoom.
Let's see here. I don't see any volume options here.
You're good. Just be loud. Just be large and in charge.
Alrighty.
Be a loud boy.
Is this better, you guys? Audio settings. Found it. Microphone. Oh, my microphone's already at max. Let me see if I can adjust my physical microphone.
Uh-oh. Looks like we got a little bit of a frozen camera there on the stream.
It's at max at the current moment, unfortunately.
Oh, there you go. That's a lot better.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, I was actually literally right next to the microphone.
Oh, there you go.
I'll just move it.
All right. I'm actually going to see if we can do this here. Disable camera stuck. Pog. Yeah, Zoom and Streamlabs don't interact super well. It gets a little fucky if you ever like minimize it, which unfortunately I did. So we're just waiting on Cop to get back in here, and then we'll be back to the action. We're in Champ Select. The lobby's ready to go. Oh wait, it's probably me. There we go. We're back. We're back, and we're better than ever. When will CLG Worthy Dust play? Well, he's on Ocean, so he'll play when Ocean plays. I believe they're playing off stream right now. So we'll catch that on Monday at 8 p.m. Oh, wait, no, they're playing off stream right now. They have a bye. Do they have a bye week? There are no bye weeks, right, Cup? They're playing off stream.
Not this current.
Yeah, with eight teams, there's no bye weeks. Okay, so they're playing off stream. So Seoul, they will be playing tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. You'll be able to catch them. Oh wait, Cop, you gotta hop to spectate. I said casters are, and you were the mid laner for Brambleback, so we were ready. We know what we're talking about, boys. Cop's subbing in.
Back.
Say my full name, WTF I subscribe. Soul Mig. It's a very suspect name there, buddy. But we appreciate the subscribe. But yeah, so we're gonna send this into Champ Select. And something you talked about is you don't want to see Raptors go towards kind of a Brambleback. I mean, not a kind of a global composition. Eric's trolling me right now. Kind of a global composition isn't really what we want to see from Raptors. So, what do you want to see from them if they're not going to play a global composition? You want to see charismatic on a carry?
Absolutely. I want to see him try to do his best to help carry the game. I think Alvarez and Pogs can play fine without the global pressure.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we saw them in that bot lane. They played super well early. Colonel Paco was level 3 to, I believe, at one point they were level 5 versus him. So they had a massive advantage. If they can keep trying to push those kind of advantages with some great early pressure like we saw from Shinua, um, they should be able to cultivate another lead in the bottom lane. But Darth Ted just so consistent, and despite being put behind early, just played the team fight so extremely well. They're going to have think of an answer to how they can access that backline.
It's kind of funny. Some players are very good at laning phase and horrible at team fights, and vice versa. And I think that currently the other situation is what Raptors are looking like right now. I shouldn't say horrible, but like lacking in team fights, and a lot of it just has to do with the team fight decision making going on. It might be a shot calling thing, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it kind of seems like from the games we've seen from Raptors, and we touched on this a little bit, is they'll have the early game go great, and that's fine. And then it seems like there's a little bit of a slip up towards the mid game and the later stages of the mid game where they might think they're stronger than they are. They're kind of seeing red, and they want to force all these plays to just push their advantage, which is a great style to play if you have consistent and like effective shot calling. But a lot of the times for Raptors here, it looks like they're going for plays they don't necessarily have to force, and they're forcing, I think is a good word to use for Raptors. So if we could see them try to maybe calm it down a little bit, keep your early advantage, play the early game pretty well most games. Just don't force it into the early and then mid game, trying to just snowball when you can play with an advantage and take what you can get when you can get it.
So Nolark picking the Shen
He's
this
taking
time,
the Shen now.
saying, "I know how to do it better than you."
Yeah, but you got to think that charismatic, the Shen main himself will have some tech ready. He knows exactly what he doesn't like playing against on Shen. So we'll see if he actually plays any of those types of champions.
And there's the Nautilus pick, likely for Pogs.
Yeah, I like that pick. It's a denial from Colonel Paco, as well as just an overall very strong support right now. And they will lock the Vygar for Mr. Neat, which is actually something that Mr. Neat's looked really good on.
I really like that pick actually for Nate.
Yeah, the cage is just so annoying for teams to deal with. Like the cooldown in the later parts of the game when he has max rank on it, and like 30-40% CDR, that's like a 6-second cooldown, like an 8-second cooldown for the cage. So
Thing too is if they have like a lacking kind of post laning phase situation like the previous games, then Vygar is still a champion who can just come back into it. They should just need a little more front line to sort of secure the safety of him.
yeah, and I mean you'd love to see Mr. Neat on these kind of picks. It's something that we like to see him on, is these kind of control mages who can play safe, push, and just farm safely, and he doesn't have to really interact with the enemy mid laner a whole lot, and that's where he shines.
And the Ash pick for the last one for Raptors, playing another good safe champion who's always useful with their ultimate, and banning the Morgana, which is also a great idea. Another champion I actually really like Paco on champions like Morgana. I feel like he plays a little volatile when he plays the engaged supports, and whenever he plays more of like a mage, he doesn't have that necessary that weakness that I perceive him to have.
Yeah, he doesn't have the aggro button. Like for some
Yeah.
reason when he's playing the like kind of engagey, tanky go in supports, there's an extra button on Colonel Paco's keyboard that says go in, live or die, and he pushes it every time.
It's a solo queue mentality thing. As a fellow tank support player, I tend in solo queue it works very effectively, but it doesn't work very well into 5v5 comms.
No, because they're going to be expecting that, right? Especially when you are Colonel Paco and you're so notorious for playing that exact style. Alifaris and Pogs should be
So
anticipating that and did anticipate that in the last game um, very well. They played that bot lane, honestly, to their credit, they played the bot lane pretty well. The
uh,
Aurelia we saw couldn't really do much into Brambleback's comp, unfortunately, in the later part of the game, but that's a separate conversation as we see Kane picked up for Shinua, and you got to assume that's going to be a red Kane, so that's a lot of team fight power.
it's a good move by them too because you can apply some pretty good early pressure if they want it, especially
Yeah.
with the crowd control that all three of the other champions provide.
Yeah, I mean, very open secret that I am a Kane aficionado. I love that champion. So I'm excited to see the Kane pick, and assuming it's going to be a red Kane, probably won't see a blue Kane unless there's another squishy champion picked here from Brambleback, which I highly doubt. Um, but yeah, so red Kane, great farm. Has a really easy time pathing through the jungle with his E, able to walk through walls, can get some cheeky invades off and safe vision down as the E does reveal in a radius around your champion. Does not reveal brush, but will reveal terrain and just ground around your champion on Kane. Should be able to get some nice invades off and some pretty cool gank paths as we see Pike being hovered. And it will be locked in.
So is that Pike support and Nautilus top, or vice versa? Is what I'm wondering right now.
I don't know. I would hard assume that it's Pike is going to the support role and they're just sending the Nautilus top lane, which it looks like that's what it's going to be. They're not trading, um, which I like because that gives them so much kill pressure. Having the Pike on their team now onto this bot lane, if they're able to play it like they did the last game, just hook the Thresh in and just burst him down. But Darth Chad on the Tristana is no slouch either, and I don't know. I really don't know who has the advantage in this lane. I don't see a lot of Pike being played currently, so give me your insight, Cobb. Give me the support insight here.
I personally hate playing with and against Pike. It sort of has the Yasuo syndrome where either you're dealing with your enemy Pike is always the good one and your ally Pike is always the bad one.
That's fair, and that does seem to happen. As we see my famous chair in the chat right now, I'm currently AFK, but still able to talk over the picks with you. So, what are you most excited for in this game? What's the matchup you're looking at where you're like, that's where I want to see all the action happening? That's where they should focus if you're Raptors.
I would probably say bot lane. Paco is playing one of those engaged supports yet again that I was saying I prefer not playing. Uh, I always sort of think of like when people do like the full like all in or dead types of engaged supports that they're pulling a Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a great reference to make because we do see that kind of hardcore all-in engage style coming through from Paco a lot of times in the bottom lane, and I mean a champion like Ashe, a champion like Pike are pretty good at shutting that down.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Is the Nautilus against the Shen? I guess would be also a point of curiosity to me because I haven't seen a Nautilus top in a while.
Since Crack Variety was pulling it
Yeah,
out last season,
I
Nautilus does a
loved playing
surprising
Nautilus
amount of
top
damage.
back in the day, but it's just I haven't seen it in a few seasons, so I'm not necessarily certain how well he's going to fare. Maybe he's going to go like a Doinby sort of build where he gets the proto belt, but
I would like that. I mean, Nautilus has, again, we talked about this last game, has pretty high AP ratios. And if you're going to the top lane and you're taking all the farm, you can build some magic damage items. I mean, you still want to go tanky, but your abilities can start to slap
it's
if you get some of those items on you.
the thing too is to remember if they do try to play safe for the mid game, having those tanky items early is going to be more preferable. Just given that they're going to be able to allow more peel to be able to allow Vigar or Ash to be able to get away or reposition for ideal situations. Both of them certainly can kite, but It's a question of how much so. I'm also curious if he's going the Glacial Augment Vigar. I personally opt for that one just because he's already got his Q scaling. I'm not confident in Neat's ability to farm with his Q, but I still think that it could be a good option depending on how far ahead the bot lane and King can get. But that's more of a question for their team to be asking themselves.
Mm.
Seeing another Wukong as well is kind of interesting. Have we seen a Wukong win yet?
That's a good question. I don't know if we have a Sickly here to give us those spicy stats. Yeah, I don't know if we've seen a Wukong win yet. It's a very good question. I know we've seen a lot of Wukong played.
Yeah. Oh, the last game. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, I was controlling you, Cop. I'm sorry. I should have just answered.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast today.
Well, speaking of breakfast, I'm currently eating pizza.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting in the game. Gonna transition over here with the stream, and we're gonna get right into it. Game 2, Brambleback versus Raptors. Brambleback able to take game 1 in a pretty convincing fashion, and we're gonna see what Raptors can do to clap back here, as they have a pretty good composition to do it.
Yeah, the other thing too is Oriana's got a lot of targets to attach the ball and use the ultimate for. Like pretty much, if not all champions on her team are great to do that with.
The Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, you can get the Tristana jumping in, right? Get the Oriana ball right on top of the Tristana.
Not ideal, but you know, it works. Usually what you want to do if you're Tristana is have the detonation at max stacks and then jump onto them so that way you get the jump reset.
Yeah, you definitely don't want her jumping in. And Darth Ted really not the kind of player. As we see, the team's going to meet up here. We're going to see who's going to get in. The Threshold goes in on the Nautilus, and he's instantly taunted. But Naulark going to fall. Gets ignited, and that's first blood to the Nautilus top lane. As Pickle Popper ends up killing Nautilus on the back end, just gives him a fast recall to be able to get back and buy. Wouldn't have had time otherwise, I don't think. But wow, so 2 quick kills here. 1 on the mid laner for Brambleback and 1 on the top laner for Raptors. And Nautilus coming back to lane with the Ruby Crystal on top of the Corrupting Potion is going to be pretty oppressive for this Shen to have to deal with.
So, one thing I was thinking about earlier today was, and kind of thinking about it now, is we had the Nasus game where he just went off in your guys' series, and now we have a Vigar who's stacking. And right now, a lot of the game pacing is kind of like the slower kind of game. So I could see potentially that becoming more of a meta thing than it is currently.
Just teams picking these stacking champions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. We see a lot of the Rekt League games go pretty long. So if you can get that Vigar stacked up, I mean, infinitely scales, obviously, to the late game. So one of Mr. Neat's best champions is a hook goes down there in the bottom lane, the Flay as well, and they will get a decent amount of damage traded down onto Alaferis, who is going to be less than half HP now, and they're going to have to just farm under tower. Hook goes down onto Paco. They will get the stun as well, and still level 1 from the Ashe. One more auto do it from Pogs, and we'll take him out. That's a kill onto the Pike, and it's exactly where you want your gold early on in the game, as this champion can be so oppressive in the lane. Taunt lands in the top lane. Don't know if Naulark wants that one. It's the massive creep wave.
No,
It's taking so much damage. Almost with that hook in the bot lane from Pogs. Darth Ted a little over aggro. Stepping up, greeting for some of this XP, but has to be careful. He's by himself.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So right now, judging the situation as with the two junglers, where do you think would be the big places to gank for both of them?
Honestly, I want to see Kayn pay some attention to this top lane. It's a melee champion in Shen, and you want to get those stacks towards your red Kayn going early. The wave's in a really good spot. It's gonna push back to Charismatic, so Kayn is in a pretty good position to be able to actually just pressure the top lane here in about 30 seconds. Opts to go mid. Does get a decent amount of damage off onto Pickle Popper, so going to be well on his way to getting that evolve, but Charismatic actually could have let that wave push back to him pretty strongly, but opted to clear a large amount of it with his abilities. So I don't know if that's going to be an option anymore. Still will be pushing to him, but it's a little slower. A million pings going down to the Kayn. They know he's there.
Pinging. One ping should be enough, especially when you're in comms.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Cop, but I think Kayn was in the topside jungle.
I'm not
It's a tough
quite
call.
sure.
The science really wasn't there yet for us to know, but
Yeah.
it's a hunch. I have a hunch that Kayn might have been there.
Potentially. Schrodinger's is Kane. Is it there or is it not?
Ooh, Tonka's down on the top lane. A lot of damage. Nautilus slapping Charismatic around here.
What's interesting too is Nautilus for his secondary runes decided to go for Presence of Mind and for the Tenacity runes. So he's definitely hard committing to the idea of being a tank top laner this time around, rather than the duelist style that he tried doing with Shen.
Yeah, he's going for it, but we're going to have to see his first item. Will it be the Leandries again? Because that would be a champion where Leandries might be a little bit better. Is the Nautilus instead of the Shen, but maybe his team flamed him a little bit for that one. I thought it was fine, but
it's not optimal.
They definitely needed some more resistances to be able to tank up some of that damage, but there is a pause. We're going to figure out what's going on. Hopefully we can get it back started soon. Hopefully just a disconnect, nothing major. Unfortunately, we can't chrono break as we're not the LCS. So if there's any game-breaking issues, I don't know if you can see the chat, Cop.
It looks like they're about to go back into a game. They both just said R. It was Quicksilver Sasha was having a mouse issue, not a cat issue.
Not a cat issue this time. I was going to make that joke. You stole it away from me, Cop. I'm upset.
It's revenge.
Yeah, both teams definitely feeling like they're playing this one at a much slower pace than the last game. As we see it, as soon as I say that, we see a hook go in and engage on the bot lane, and Pog's going to try a decent amount of damage back. Kayn just walking into bot lane. I'm not really sure. Maybe they just want to push the wave and get a reset.
Maybe.
But Wukong's here.
Wukong is ready.
Pyke and Kayn are both pretty slippery though, so I don't know if actually anything's going to work out here. They do get a hook. Not into the stun though, but that's a lot of damage traded down into Darth Ted. And Kayn's still here. Wukong actually ended up going in. Gets exhausted immediately. And the hook follows up on Kayn. The flay coming through, but there's no follow-up. Darth Ted stuck in her tower farming, and another hook by Pogs. A lot of damage here getting put down by Shinua. And we got to watch that because crucially, that will get him closer and closer to his passive. I don't believe we're able to actually see it. Unfortunately, in the spectator client, can't see how close he is, but he has to be over halfway.
So right now, Infernal Dragon is up. I'm wondering which team is going to try to poise themselves to be able to get it first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and assume that with Darth Ted still not having recalled and being so low on HP, that Raptors, if they opt to go for it soon, will have priority. They would want to do it soon, though, because Darth Ted's obviously going to look to reset shortly. However, their jungler is topside and going to be spotted on this pink ward.
Ooh.
The hook just goes wide.
That hook would have been very nice for the Kayn.
Yeah, it would have definitely burned a flash there. And does get spotted on the pink ward. Going to clear this one out, no problem. Should be able to follow up on the Scuttle Crab as well, as Darth Ted still hasn't reset in this bottom lane. So it's sitting on about half HP, a little scary.
People ask why do wards save lives? There's a big reason right there. Oh, it looks like a collapse is happening bot lane. Nothing really happening except for blue team getting the dragon out of Thresh, dissuading the rest of the Raptors from trying to contest.
Nautilus putting out so much damage there in the top lane onto Shen. And directed camera kept me... Ooh, the flash actually to get the follow-up, and the Ash Arrow is good. One more auto attack would do it from Pogs, but he's not able to land it. The Ignite there was good, but Darth had heal flashing to get out.
Value's going 0 for 0 and then 1 for 1, I guess.
Yeah, so no sums now on the AD carry for Brambleback or the support for Raptors, but that makes that play that much better when the Pyke actually hits level 6. Should be able to net a kill onto Darth Ted on the Tristana. As they're looking for a dive here top lane, this is pretty cut and dry. Kayn can just ultimate here to dodge the tower aggro, but Charismatic's pretty low. They actually didn't play that correctly, so now they're going to give up 2 kills to the Shen.
Oh.
So that's not how you wanted to do that. Mr. D having a flash mid now, but the Shen going to feel so good getting dove under a tower like that with the Nautilus already being at like 15% HP.
Darth
not really the dive you wanted.
BM and Chad saying all Chad remake question mark.
Oh no.
Oh.
Are we sure that wasn't from a lag issue or something?
Sure.
Are we going to assume it's BM because it's Darth dead?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, if you're Raptors, you're not feeling too bad.
No, you still have the scaling going for you.
Yeah, you have the scaling. You lost a little bit here in the early game, but really the gold's even.
Oh, hook him. Ooh, too late.
Yeah, might have been able to hook him under tower there.
Yeah.
But didn't want to go for that aggro play as, honestly, Kayn straight up caught out in the jungle there. Had actually no idea because of the great pink wards that we see bot lane here from Brambleback. Just the whole river, just completely covered in vision for them. And honestly, that just gives them so much agency to just walk in to Raptor's jungle and do things like that. They catch the Kayn on his blue buff, even wards up into the jungle, fully controlling this Kayn's bot side jungle, and now that is Brambleback's jungle.
Remember too, if you're roaming and you go into any of the bushes, make sure to always attack mid-click, because if there's a pink ward or any wards for that matter that are actually visible, you can clear them and be able to counter these kind of situations potentially.
Yeah, we got rift tips from Cop here. We'll make that the next segment of State of the League, as Shen getting taunted, getting CC'd up under tower, and honestly, gonna give a pretty big shutdown over to the Nautilus, so I'm not sure that's what you wanted to do. Goes for the solo kill, but give a lot of money over there in the process. And if you're Shinua on this Kayn right now, we really have to see him have an impact in the game here. This is on 0-2, has that 1 assist from an early play, but you have to start ganking. You have to get an ultimate off on somebody. I'm assuming he's very close to getting that evolve and actually becoming a real champion, because honestly, Kayn is barely a champion without one of his evolves. He needs that passive to stack up so that he can actually have a kit that provides some sort of utility for the team of Raptors right now. So I'd like to see him maybe just walk top lane and literally just press R on the Shen.
I would definitely like to see him go top lane. Charismatic is one of, if not the best player in their team, so he should feel some form of comfort to be able to actually execute it.
He's going bot instead. The Shen ult coming through on Apaka, going to save him from the Pyke execute, but doesn't quite come through with the execute. TP coming down. Nautilus is here. Doesn't have the ultimate. Gets a root with auto attack, and that's just a dead Darth Ted. Does pick up a kill on the Kayn on the backside.
The counter teleports.
Mr. Neat's here, getting knocked up. Charismatic falling super low. Shen will take that one. Shen with a double. And Wukong just rooted, was unable to actually get forward with the ult.
The counter teleports by Nolark and Pickle Popper are huge in that fight. Being able to provide some form of retaliation, plus trying to set up some vision control to be able to actually get this Mountain Drake potentially.
Yeah, and they are set up for it. I'm assuming they can just start this one whenever. They have 3 members there. They're all pretty healthy. 4 members now.
And Tristana's not that far.
No. I mean, Raptors is gunning for it, though. I don't really think they should be contesting this at all. They do get the hook and do a lot of damage. Shinoa ends up picking up the kill, and the Mountain Drake just falling now. Orianna no ultimate available would have been absolutely massive there. When another Pike hook comes through, does hook Darktet into the cage. Will pick up a kill onto the Vygar, but they get a kill on the Ashe. But now Kane's in the middle of the fight. Has the ultimate available. Not that much damage without the evolved, won't do any percent health type of deal, but gets knocked up. And that's a kill for Nautilus. Now Pike in the background with a huge E flash, able to get a stun onto both members. Pickle Popper with no flash. The Shen having to sit here and watch. Orianna getting the trade kill. These fights are so back and forth. Absolutely insane out of both of these teams. So many good playmakers on both of these teams, just making these team fights. It looks like it's bad for one team, and then there's just a play made by someone like Pogs, who will just E and then flash to get a double stun like that at the end. And pulling a play out of where we didn't think there was one.
Is it every 20 or 30 CS that equals the same amount as a kill?
I believe it's around 20, 30. I'm gonna say 25 and sound like a genius.
So pretty. Well, actually, let me just see here. Yeah, right now, Nautilus having that gold lead is very important, despite the 5-2-2 lead over in terms of KDA.
Nautilus actually having to flash their bot lane.
Yeah.
That was not a good look.
He hasn't been able to back since that fight. Although he's only sitting on 700 gold.
Yeah, I think if you're charismatic in the situation, you give this tower up, sticking around.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to bait for a Pike to come in and do something, but
That's just another 150 gold to be given to their bot lane if you stick too long.
Yeah, saw Pike roaming down. Maybe thought there was something he could do. They did have vision control in the river with that pink ward. But nothing to it. Only 1,000 gold separates these two teams now, and most of that in part due to the one tower and the additional kill that Brambleback does have over Raptors at the moment. Kane still doesn't have his evolve. I think you just ult Wukong here, if I'm being honest. You literally just press your R button on the Wukong, but you won't heal because you don't have the red can yet, and you get knocked up again. Does actually able to manage to get over the wall, and Pike gets the hook. Sasha picks up a kill, and the Shen ultimate now coming down onto Wukong just to make sure you can't execute with that Pike ultimate. And Pike getting pretty low. We'll see if the regen's enough to save him, but the rest of the team going back on. Huge Nautilus ultimate, but they just have to disengage. Pike's regen does end up saving him there from falling down, and so it's just a kill onto the jungler of Raptors. Sasha picking that one up. Did burn the exhaust from Ashe in that exchange, so that will not be available if there's something like a tower dive comes out here. I don't think that Raptors actually have to give this tower up. The hook was very close to hitting Tristana. Now Vygar, Mr. Neat's here, doesn't actually have the Hextech GLP though, which is something that you end up seeing Vygar's take to make the cage setup so free. But opted not to go that route this game, is going for a Ludens. How do you feel about that, Cop? Did you want to see him, Okay, we got the Red Cane evolved finally. I wanted to check on that. We see Mr. Neat here in the mid lane. Flashless does put the cage down. Will stun the Thresh. Shouldn't be able to get the hook off onto him. Still throws it out. Decent amount of damage traded back onto Colonel Paco.
So, I don't... for Orianna right now, I'm not so certain why she went for 2 blasting ones. And I guess he didn't have enough gold to be able to complete the item.
Well, now he definitely doesn't have enough gold to complete the item.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of those things where you see that you have the lost chapter, and you're like, all right, I just need a blasting wand to finish this item, and you forgot that you already have a blasting wand, and now you just have 2 blasting wands, I would have to assume it was something like not realizing you already had. He actually sold the. Oh, he didn't sell it. He just bought the Ludens. So I mean,
He did.
ended up not mattering
Oh, you're right.
too much, but.
I guess he's just that much closer to being able to get his next item.
Yeah, he just figured. Wanted to have the extra AP for the fight. And they should be able to take this mid tower with the bomb from Tristana. Is laying her a lot of auto attack damage back down onto the Pike. And Brambleback looking to just move in and take this dragon, which will put them on soul point for the Ocean Soul. And for some reason, whenever there's action in the top lane, director camera always takes me straight here. Even if they're like posturing to fight in the bottom side, it's like, no, this is what we need to watch.
I've been having that issue this whole game.
Pike fishing for a hook actually doesn't connect. The Bodyguard cage down now, so Mr. Neat won't have that one for a few seconds here. As the hook almost coming through and Pike does burn that E to get out. And really, this is not a very good angle to come in on when you're Raptors. Orianna just can control this choke point so well. Ash ultimate comes through. It's a lot of damage down on a Pickle Popper, but they're coming through a choke against Orianna. The Nautilus is on the backside here. Shen ultimate coming through on a Pickle Popper. On the back end, we do see Tristana falling. Wukong is able to take the dragon. Big Orianna ultimate onto 3 members. There's so much damage, and the last one standing is just this tanky Nautilus. Not able to do anything else, so it looked okay from Raptors at the start, picking off Darth Ted, but they had nothing left after that. The Pike actually wasn't able to get the ultimate off or the ignite, so no resets able to come through there. With a lot of low health members on Brambleback, you think that might have actually been able to do something, but unfortunately bursted down before he's able to use that. And while they did find the Tristana, Raptors got aced.
And the Shen already having 8 kills
Yeah.
in 19 minutes.
Yeah, that's a pretty feels bad, man. When you go up against the Shen one trick, you let him play Shen the first game, he pops off a little bit, but you know, you end up beating him, and then you pick the Shen right back in game 2 and you pop off yourself. You're like, I'll show you how we do Shen around here. But is getting this tower. Should be able to push this next wave in and take this one. Nautilus on the way back up, but Shen should be able to get this tower before he's there. Orianna available if anything does go awry. The bot lane from Raptors is heading to that top side. We'll get spotted with a nice blue trinket there from Pickle Popper.
So, something that I know you really dislike is look at the Ashe build.
It's the Triforce.
It is the Triforce.
I mean, there's a lot of it right now, and it is good. It's specifically bad into teams that have a lot of tanks, which really Brambleback isn't that tanky. It's just really the Shen. Wukong's going kind of an AD bruiser build, and
The
Thresh will
Thresh
he will get tanky, but not for quite a while. So the point where Ashe is strong right now in this mid game, sitting on 3 and 1, the Triforce is actually going to be pretty good on her. As Pogs again having to flash out, this Pike is not having a good time right now. Hasn't been able to really find a lot of what he wants to be able to do with getting in on a flank here and being sneaky. He's just getting caught out and CC'd, having to burn, you know, his engage tools to get out, his flash in that situation to be able to survive. And Mr. Neat pushing in this bottom lane. Does have a full item completion now to his name, but
So Kane is working on it right now, but I would have actually preferred to have seen the Black Cleaver potentially, since you have Kane and Pike being able to also put out some AD damage.
are you saying on the Ashe?
Yes. It gets the same
Wukong
amount.
getting caught here in the mid lane. The Kane not quite able to finish it off. And the Herald getting smited under tower. Nautilus getting hooked. We'll get flayed back in to take maybe a tower shot. No, going to flash out with the bomb on from Tristana, and that Nautilus is absolutely chunked.
I mean, it wouldn't. So going back to Black Cleaver, I wouldn't necessarily say that would be my first choice, but like if you're going to do something different than traditional builds, then I would say Black Cleaver would be more of an interesting item.
It'd be interesting, but you're losing all the attack speed, which you really want on the Ashe, and the Sheen proc, which you really want too. So Triforce isn't bad here, but
Optimally,
you know,
like Black Cleaver or the old crit build would be probably better.
yeah, I think if you're ahead like that and you are going to be a large amount of your team's damage profile with having a Nautilus top lane, you want to pick something with the Ashe that can scale you a little bit better into the later part of the game, like the Bork into, you know, the Essence Reaver kind of build. I'm not even sure what exactly the build path is for Ashe with the Bork, but
Essence Reaper is usually a very strong item for.
we see Pyke going in, does get the slowdown on a Pickle Popper, not going to find the stun there, but the rest of the team's here. The Shen ultimate coming through. We'll see if they can find the kill before that actually comes down, but they will not. Pickle Popper actually finding the kill onto the Pyke, and Shen coming through and just absolutely slapping right now. Ashe trying to kite out, but you have to think one more taunt from Shen. He's going to do it. Kane, press your R button. He's going to heal a lot from here, but he's getting taken so deep now. Just taunted again as Darth Tate able to pick up that kill and gets himself a red buff in the back end of the fight. Dragon spawning now, and this will be Ocean Soul for Brambleback, and you have to think that already sitting at a 6k lead, getting that Ocean Soul might just be the nail in the coffin for Raptors.
I find that, at least with the Ashe build, she's looking like she's going for
Nautilus just straight up tower diving this Nautilus here. Shen actually getting a little bit punished for his greed. Does get the kill on Nautilus still, but gives Pyke the ability to get a little reset there. Ooh, the ultimate comes through. There should be another kill with the Pyke ultimate. There we go. So a nice little turnaround from Raptors there. Does get the hook there now under Colonel Paco. Still has another reset with the ultimate. I don't know if he's going to be able to follow through here. A lot of damage coming down. Still has that ultimate looking for Pyke. Does get the blink, but it was not the threshold where he can execute. And Raptors turn it around exactly where they need to. They knew that that point of the game is where they really needed to fight. They had to fight over this Ocean Dragon. And Brambleback being so greedy, honestly, trying to look for that tower dive in the mid lane when they could just turn back, set up to Ocean Soul, and really just clinch the win. At that point, if you're Brambleback and you take Ocean Soul there, that's basically GG. There's not a lot that the side of Raptors can do right now with their damage profile and their team composition to fight back against an Ocean Souled Shen, Wukong, you know, Tristana that already has the ability to be really slippery in these fights. But now that's Raptors taking that Ocean Dragon and honestly opening up a small window where they can try to fight back.
So Pyke had earlier completed Yomu's Ghostblade, but after those takedowns, he was able to get an Umbral Glaive immediately with his second recall, hitting a very big power spike with now having 2 lethality items. Having the Moby Boots and the lethality, because his W, actually his movement speed from his W, the invisibility one,
yeah,
actually scales on lethality. So he's going to be able to be a lot more mobile and being able to try to execute picks.
Yeah, speaking of executing picks, almost got himself executed trying to go for a pick there. Didn't realize that Sasha, Thresh, and Darth Ted were all so close. And a nice ward from Raptors. We'll spot Brambleback around this Baron pit. 2 wards, actually. So they know that they're there. Sasha clearing out that green ward in the pit right now, as Brambleback don't know they're sitting on a ward. Now they'll find out. The jig is up, and there's going to be no more kind of baiting here from Raptors on the Vision. Mr. Neat clearing away a pink ward in the top side brush, and both teams kind of just resetting to an even state right now. With the Nautilus showing bot, it looks like Brambleback's actually taking this opportunity to start the Baron up. Will get spotted out and immediately disengaged. They don't have any interest in actually fighting in this Baron pit versus the Vigar and the Pyke, who can do so well in these kind of close quarters combat. See if you can get the hook here. In the mid lane, doesn't connect. Soriana, interestingly, has opted to go for a Morellonomicon here. And I'm struggling to see why that would be the choice.
So, a lot
for
of
a Pickle
champions,
Popper in this situation.
A lot of champions, there's the whole debate between Leandries and Morello. And I feel like Orianna's one of the few champions who can actually just consistently get the Leandries to full stacks. So I'm very
Pyke getting caught here in the mid lane.
as well.
A nice stun coming out from the Ashe to save him, and the chain CC from the Kane and the Vigar. We'll finish him off with the Vigar ultimate. Wukong has to all just to disengage here, as the flash hook from Pogs almost connecting on a Darth Ted that would have been so sick. Cage is just so oppressive here, actually forcing Sasha to flash out as Pyke on the back end now. He's going actually a little too deep, to be honest. Trying to go for like a solo kill there for some reason, and it's really just punishing the rest of the team now. It baits them in on this kind of play. The Shen ultimate coming through, and they're just giving up so many kills on the back end after they had such a good look in the mid lane. Again, they just push too far. They overextend, going way too greedy, trying to bite off more than they can chew. And they just give kills right back to Brambleback that they didn't need to give over. And I really want to see Raptors deviate from that playstyle, because when they're on, they're looking really good, but they have to stop overextending or this game is going to get out of control.
Yeah, right now, Ashe is pinging the Ocean Drake in a minute and, or now 57 seconds. So they're definitely looking to set up for that, for play there.
Yeah, I think that if you're Brambleback, you don't care about this Ocean Drake and you just take Baron. Because you know that they are going to almost have to take the Ocean Dragon, and you don't have to greed and try to take Ocean and then Baron. When you're forcing them to go for an Ocean Drake here because you're on sole point, you just take the Baron buff, as Colonel Paco might get his life taken here. The hook unfortunately misses, and all this stun, everything misses, except the W from Mr. Neat, but that felt like it should have been pretty free, but you know, Colonel Paco puts on the blue suede shoes and now gets a nice hook over the wall. We'll find the kill onto Pogs. And now this is a situation where if you were Raptors, having all 5 members alive, it'd feel really nice to just contest around this Ocean Dragon. But you have your Nautilus top lane who's still not channeled the teleport to get into the fight. Brambleback can burst this down extremely fast. Nautilus is still not channeling teleport. They're opting to give this Ocean Drake over. There's nothing that they shouldn't walk in now. It's too late. And now they're walking in at the very end, having to flash out. Unfortunately, the shockwave is already there, and the wombo combo is right on top of them. And now they're just getting engaged back on. Darth's able to jump back in with a red buff. We'll get the slow, but Wukong unable to follow through on the rest of the dive with the Ashe. But if you're Raptors there, after the Pyke dies, you're already in a position where you can't really contest that, especially because Nautilus wasn't channeling the teleport. That walking in, when you already know the Ocean Drag is going to be dead, is basically just asking to give over more kills to Brambleback. And this is something we've seen consistently from Raptors, that they're going to have to clean up if they want to try to start finding some of these wins, because they look so good when they're able to execute these team fights the way they want to, but they have to stop overextending.
Everything needs to be more on their terms rather than on the enemy's terms, because it's very telegraphed that they're going for Ocean Dragon, and so Brambleback was able to capitalize on that, to be able to get pick, which again Pyke was by himself.
Oh, a nice stun, a big cage there. We'll find the kill onto the Wukong clone, unfortunately, not onto Wukong himself, as the backline is getting decimated by Nullark right now. Just taking absolutely no damage. Kane ultimate will come through, and the shutdown on Tristana. Darth Ted is dead. Mr. Neat falling pretty low himself. Not going to fall, actually. Charismatic will end up falling to Pickle Popper, who could just flash forward and get the kill onto Mr. Neat as well. Should be able to find this last one under the Kane. Unfortunately, the taunt goes wide, but you have to think that with 2 members dead... Oh, they're not going to opt to end. Okay, so I think in the 3v3 there, they actually might have been able to end, but going to go for the safer play. Back it out, reset, and look towards Baron buff, but honestly, it's such a small gold lead right now for Brambleback, but the intangible value of just having the Infernal, the Mountain, and then the Ocean Soul obviously is so good. Brambleback's lead is a lot larger than it looks like.
Bramble probably just opted there, worrying that they might be themselves grieving if they stayed longer.
Yeah, the death timer is pretty long at this point, for 30 minutes. You see that Charismatic and Mr. Neat's still dead, so might have been a situation where they're able to end, but they choose the safe play, and I think that's honestly the smarter play here, is just to get the guaranteed win. You have the Ocean Soul, you're already massively, ahead because of that. As well as, having an arguable scaling advantage with the Ashe going for the Triforce build, although she is pretty big right now. But the Orianna and Tristana are just as big as the Vigar and Ashe are right now, so this is a point of the game where Brambleback are incredibly strong, and I think that they can really just take this Baron and try to push it in for the end.
Something really important to note too is how much of a vision control advantage Brambleback has over Raptors. Probably a big key in being able to get all these opportunities of misplays from Raptors when it's not a team fight situation.
Yeah, and Raptors know that this is the point where their game is, it's really make or break. Pogs, again, go in and on flank without having any vision at all of where they are and having to force this flash out. So playing a little bit greedy on this pike with some of these looks. But Colonel Paco lying in wait. Pickle Popper, Sasha looking for the engage. Kane in the wall does have the vision on them, so they know that they can't really fight in this corridor against the Orianna, against the Wukong, as Mr. Neat just shoving out this bottom lane with the teleport available, pushing the super minions back, and trying to buy his team some time. As we see Nollark walking towards the bot side, maybe trying to go fight Mr. Need. But Brambleback just shoving up aggressively into the jungle right now, and there's not a whole lot that Raptors can do about it. They have to concede basically their whole red side. Pyke has to stop going for these looks. It's just time and again, just going for a hook into a brush blind. Like, best case scenario, you hook Tristana with that hook blind, right? You're there by yourself. Nautilus and Ashe are pretty far. So you hook the Tristana, you can't solo kill her because she has the ocean. The rest of the team is also there, and it's not gonna be something you can do for the Pyke. But we see a turn here. Kane picking up a double kill. The cage goes down. Wukong will kill Kane for his greed, but Tristana jumping straight in, doing so much damage. QSS to the cage stun, and with this ocean just healing for so much, pops the summoner heal as well for some extra move speed. Honestly, she'd be able to jump right back into this Nautilus after killing this tower. And that is one of the last remaining members alive. Pyke gonna be walking it back through, but you think that it's definitely a guaranteed inhibitor here, at the very least, for Brambleback.
It's difficult, man, as a play Pyke in these situations, because you really need to have a teammate just aid you and being able to get the vision control. But
yeah,
with all the lanes pushing, it's just
he's going in blind.
Really
he's Wing in and he's channeling the hook, which already decreases your move speed, and just walking at a bush. It's like they're gonna get you every time when you do that. You have to play a little more carefully in this Pyke and wait for someone to help you set up vision. Wait for a pick. If you want to go for these roaming kind of picks on the Pyke, that probably had to start happening maybe 15 minutes ago, when you're at a point with the Pyke where you can actually look to solo kill people. But with Ocean Soul on Brambleback right now, and with a lot of their item completions coming through, the QSS and the Tristana are going to get that stun out, and the rest of the team just being pretty tanky with even a stopwatch now on Pickle Popper. There's not really an ideal look that you can get on the Pyke, and he's going for these plays, and I think he really just has to play a little safer. Ashe Arrow comes down. Not going to connect on much. Does hit Darth Head in the back line, and now we see a hook going down right onto Mr. Neat, and that's the target you wanted. No more Vygar cage, and that should be a free Elder Dragon now for Brambleback. There's absolutely no way that Raptors can walk in. They have to answer their base with all the inhibitors open, and now Elder Drake going to Brambleback. This has to be the game here. I don't really see a world where Raptors can fight back from an Elder Drake and what's soon to be a Baron. That's a triple super buff now going to be on the table for Brambleback with the Elder, Ocean Soul, and Baron buff. We would have to see a miracle from Raptors to be able to actually fight back into this game. They're looking. I mean, Kane's here, does have the ability to scale the terrain and look for a steal. Unfortunately, does not take it, and that is just all the members of Raptors just falling one by one. The Elder Dragon explosions coming through, and that is almost an ace for Brambleback. Mr. Neat, the last one left alive, as Darth Ted and crew going to walk it on down the mid lane. Top lane rather, with their super minions, and look to just end this game. Gonna flash on top of Mr. Neat, but unfortunately Darth Ted gets shut down pretty embarrassingly out of the tower there, looking for the flash. But charismatic, Sasha rather, avenging her fallen comrade in Darth Ted, able to pick up that last kill to get the ace onto Raptors. And Brambleback with a pretty dominant performance, but honestly, A well-fought game by Raptors. Took them to almost 40 minutes for Brambleback to actually close that game out. Needed the Ocean Soul, Elder, and Baron to end up pushing it into the base there of Raptors. So honestly, valiant effort by Raptors, but on the day that will be a 2-0 for Brambleback in what was overall a decently clean series.
Most certainly. I actually, definitely the second game was certainly a lot closer until a certain point, particularly when they got the Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
But I thought they played a lot better in terms of cohesion in that second game. That's very important to take note of for future games against other opponents.
I hard agree with you there. So as far as interviews go, who do you want to talk to here? Who's
Well, we gotta get Pickle Popper because he had the perfect game in the
Ooh,
first
that's
game.
true. He did have a perfect game in the first game.
I kind of want to talk to Nolark.
Pickle Popper and Nolark?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get the boys in here. I just have to transition. Real quick. So we got Pickle Popper and Nolark. Going to be hopping in for some interviews, so we will get them on the Discord. For some reason, it's not letting me drag people up. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it wasn't letting me scroll for some reason in Discord to try to drag you up. But waiting on Cop to figure out that we're in Discord now. Hopefully,
Hi.
hopefully he gets it. Oh wait, you moved
Yep.
yourself. Thank God. It was
Yep.
taking me a long time to try to drag you up there for some
No,
reason.
all you have to do is right-click and then move to.
Ah,
Yeah.
you're
and then
right.
At the very bottom of the pop-ups, it makes
Okay, so that,
There you go.
that's a production tip that I'll take with me for next time. Greg, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for giving that to me at an opportune time. So, Cop is not here. His face is on the screen, but he's not quite with us here in the Discord yet. But yeah, so tell us about those games, guys. What were your thoughts going into the series, especially going into the first game? What was some of the planning that you did to kind of get ready for Raptors?
I think 5 minutes before the game, I said, I'm not really feeling any champions right now, so I'll play whatever. And,
Yeah, I think we kind of knew the champs that they would want to play. The Galio pick was a little bit surprising to us, but I
Yeah, we
think
thought
in
Bouncer
general,
would
we kind of knew how they would play, and
Yeah.
we made a lot of mistakes early, but I think we just prepped pretty well.
So, Nolark, I got a question for you. Do you feel like you proved that you're the better Shen player?
Not really. I think his me dying the first game was a bit ouch there, but no, Kismac I think is really good. I wouldn't say that I'm better.
Showing the respect. So, I mean,
humble as always.
yeah, and we love to hear it in the Rekt League. Showing respect to the enemy team, knowing when other players are good and you respect their play style, but it looked like a lot of disrespect in that second game with that Shen pick and then just absolutely slapping in the top lane. What were your thoughts going into that? Just you want to run it back and show them how to play Shen, or what's going on?
I think Shen was a pile pick going into the series, so it was okay, if they don't ban it, we first pick it. If we don't ban it, they first pick it. So it was kind of and then I banned the set because I know he plays and I hate that matchup so much.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was just okay, and then it was kind of just I don't think either of us were okay, we're gonna herd stomp each other, but we want to play for the team, and I think Shen is the best way because the action bot side I think was the main focus of the game, and jungle proximity and things like that. I think especially with how Alpha's and Pogs play, with the pike picks, with the exhaust ignite, they were looking for things, and so it's the Shen pick really helped kind of slow down the game.
Yeah, there were a lot of times when it looked like they had a nice turn onto you guys and a catch, but the Shen giant shield just came through with that global ultimate and just turned so many fights around. Raptors though felt like they were pretty scrappy in those games. It
Yep.
didn't seem like they wanted to go down without a fight, especially in that second game where it took the Ocean Soul, the Elder Dragon, the Baron buff to really punch the nail in the coffin and get that victory. Did it feel like that desperate to you guys, or were you just playing it as safe and slow as you could?
Trying to play it pretty safe at the end because we were making some mistakes. We were getting caught out, so we were like, we just need to calm down and close out the game. We were definitely ahead at that point, and our team fight was definitely very strong. So we were like, we can just force them to come to us at objectives or just give them for free. So why risk throwing away a couple kills here and there?
Yeah.
By like getting picked off.
I must imagine after the first game, Pickle, everyone probably was giving you props for having that perfect game.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Actually, this is my second game of Zillion this season, and or Rec League season, and I don't think I ulted a single person last game. But this game I was pretty proud of my ult. I was like, okay.
You had some good ones.
Except for that one, I was like, Parker, I'm sorry to let you die, but you're not a priority here. I was like,
You have to choose.
I just choose between him and potentially saving, Darth Ted. So
You're gonna take Darth Ted every time.
yeah, but props to them for those. Like when 4 people are teleporting bot lane.
That was insane.
That was insane. Like yeah. Oof.
Yeah, no. Raptors' teamwork was literally like good this game. Like these 2 games, like we literally felt it, and like we were like, okay, like we have to. They're going to team fight us. We have to team fight them, and it was really good. I think I liked it.
Yeah, definitely some strong team play coming out from Raptors and some great respect being shown post game by you guys to the enemy team. We love to see it. So looking forward to the future, what are your upcoming matchups that you're worried about, or what even next week? I believe you're playing against. I have to double check.
We're Scuttle Crab.
Scuttle Crab next week. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts going into that matchup?
Zim, get ready to get 5 man. I'm coming for you, buddy.
The ex-teammate coming for him. You love to see it. What about you, Pickle?
I think didn't we scrim them? Is that what?
Yeah, we scrimmed them.
It's
Yeah.
a Dauntless game,
those were intense matches. I think
I heard they went long.
we learned a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Surprising, Aether Fox is good at Ari, so.
Huh.
Yeah. So I think we definitely learned. We just need to clean up some stuff and maybe make some interesting choices during pick bans. But we got a week off. I mean, a lot of us are just kind of around if we're not playing Valorant. So.
Ooh, I still have to get my beta key.
As do I.
Oof, casted no beta key.
I'm gonna leave a stream on tonight and hope I can get it.
You just okay. So everyone out there, actually, I think Nella was the one who told us all this, right? You just have to watch
Yeah.
like 2 hours, and then you're kind of just in the pool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so after 2 hours, it's like diminishing returns on the hours you watch. So like, it's better to just turn off the stream and not get tilted about you not having a beta key, because like after 2 hours, it's like you entered into a pool and it's just completely random from there. So you'll get it if you're offline.
Also, make sure you link your Twitch account to your Riot account.
Hmm.
So, I might go play some of that.
That's some pro tips right there, boys.
Yeah.
Well, unless you guys have any closing comments, Cop, thank you for joining me on the cast. Really appreciate it,
for
man.
having me.
Coming in clutch with that wonderful picture of you that we have up on the screen right now, and also a picture of me because my Zoom camera has decided to freeze yet again. Love to see it, but without any further ado, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for tuning into the stream. We love the Rekt League family. Like, follow, subscribe. You heard it from Pickle Popper right there, the Rekt League on
Monday night.
Twitch, YouTube, Pornhub. I think we're on most of those websites.
Yeah. I mean, at some point. I don't know if we have our own Pornhub account yet, but if Brian keeps undoing buttons, then maybe.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
You
We'll
just
take
gotta
it
keep
there.
wearing that kimono.
Demonetized.
Oh, the kimono. Yeah, that's for sure. That'll get us in.
Yeah.
But tomorrow
Monday
night,
Rekt League.
more Rekt League action at 8 p.m. EST. Don't miss it. I believe that will be Ocean Drake versus. Is it Air? It's not
I
Air.
believe
Ocean
Air.
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 Yeah,
It is Ocean Air. So that's actually the
Tied for first
matchup.
place.
Yeah.
That's the matchup that I was super, super hyped for. Ocean Air Drake is going to be a battle of the Titans. So make sure tomorrow night, I know we're all stuck inside and quarantined right now. You're not doing shit. 8 o'clock, tune in, twitch.tv/the Rekt League. And for myself, Nollark, Pickle Popper, and Cop, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. And we're sending it off. Have a good night.